I am here from the presenter group number 101. My topic for the presentation is strategical brand stakeholder recovery for proposal for Boeing post 737 MAX crisis. Let me start. In this presentation, we will explore the Boeing 737 MAX crisis, define the movement in the history of the aviation cooperation accountability. My objective is to provide the critical problems as well as the stakeholder focus analysis of the crisis and also particular focus on the stakeholder and experience both financial reputations impact as a result of Boeing missteps to giving the briefly explain about this, and as well as I'm also talk about the introduction to giving the briefly background between the 2018 and earliest 2019 to Boeing 737 aircraft typically crash lying air flight 610 and Indonesia, and a second flight is flight number 302 causes totally 346 died died low peoples. The total event triggers the globally grounded of the 737 MAX fleet and marked the beginning of for the prolonging as well as the crisis. And also, what this crisis revealed was not just a technical but the systematical issue within Boeing cooperative governance, engineering oversight, and crisis communication strategy. And also, the branding was innovations and trust become in this case study, as well as and also explain about the long-term responsibility. Let's go my next slide. This slide is basically about the crisis essential to understand the Boeing positioning in the aerospace industry in property 2019. Boeing was not just a leading manufacturing, it was a symbol of American engineering powers and innovations. The 737 crisis, particularly the 737 MAX introduced in 2007, as well as the commercial success designed to offer the superior fuel efficiency, the Max quickly become a favorite amongst budget airline, leading to the sustained orders in the backlogs of over 4,600 aircraft by March 2019. Financial Boeing was the theft. The company's stock scoring is 446 per shares. It reported profit excess 10 billion in 2018, and also understanding the 737 max contribution to the bottom line. Let me go my next slide to marketing shift in the motions Boeing versus Airbus delivery in 2018 to 2022. Let's know at the how the crisis transform into the real world performance. It graph show that a clear competence between the aircraft delivering between Boeing and Airbus from 2018 to 2022, and also 2018 the Boeing was still leading the industry in the deliver thanks in a large party to the earliest success the 737 Max. But after that crisis and globally grounded in 2019, you will notice that sharply drop in the Boeing output, while the Airbus unaffected by the similar crisis, maintenance, and the revealed stability delivery trend. By the 2020, the Boeing had a vehicle suspending 737 MAX productions, and the Delta will increasing regulatory over the legal settlements and the brand reclamations. And also this chart help us to the brand reputation directly affect operational outcome, and Airbus aligns a significant edge in global market shares during Boeing most valuable periods, as well as we move forward the losses and the delivery performance and the directly impact for the stakeholder value market confidential and long-term competence. Let me invite my next group member, please explain the further presentations.
Hello, my name is Aishwarya Mani. So now here we look at the points of the crisis or what went wrong. So these two drastic disaster triggered the global concern about the Boeing's 737 Max aircraft. So the first was line aircraft problem, or it was like an Indonesian flight. So in Indonesia, so 2018, which is tragically claimed like 189 lives. So just after a few months later, 2019, Ethiopian Airlines flight crashed almost they killed 157 people. So both of these issues were linked to share an issue, like it's called MSCAS issue. It's a software issue short called like maneuvering characteristics augmentation system. So this software was updated to help us stabilize the aircraft, but it's relied upon like only one sensor. So that meant like there was no backup for uh, backup if that a single sensor was failed or incorrect data. So mistakenly, MCA system mistakenly believed aircraft was climbing too sleepily. So it is like respond to force in the plane nose were downfoot. So because of these issues, pilots were struggle to keep the aircraft on the air. So and of course, the pilots were not when properly trained or informed about this new system called MCAS. And this combination of software flaws and lack of redundancy, pilots preparation for these all played a critical role in the both tragical issues. So now let me look on to my next slide. So the next slide is global response and the key internal failures. So, in response of these problems, Boeing crisis, the global aviation industry they took a serious issue or action on March 13, 2019. So, over 390 aircraft were grounded worldwide due to safety issues. So, this grounding was enforced by several major aviation authorities, including like FAA in the US, AASA in the Europe, CAA in China. So all issuing notices to stop the operation affected the aircraft. So this situation occurred. Boeing made unprecedented decision to suspend the production aircraft in December 2019. So this marked the in time of more than 20 years, the company has been stopped their production of the major um, of their models. So, and of course, these issues have been raised in the internally. The Boeing surfaced from engineers criticizing aircraft design about like is it designed by the clowns or something like that. So, which is raised a serious question about the company's engineering culture. Additionally, and of course, they have been loaded with the investigation, Boeing's leadership, and because they have been prioritizing their cost cutting and meeting deadlines for over ensuring safety. So, highlighting all these troubles focus on the profit rather than the well being. So, these issues globally and internal collections how show the external accountability and the internal failures that is contributing one of the biggest aviation industry in the crisis. So, now let me look on to my next slide. The next slide is, yeah, of course, the next thing is like stakeholders focus and shareholders. So financially, let's look at the financial point first. So financially, the consequences were massive. Boeing stock price have been declined from a peak of like 446 million in 2000 March 19 that has just been dropped off like 189 US dollar by March 2025 24. So the drastic decline reflective the significant loss of investors' confidence over the time. So, in terms of the this direct financial cost, the crisis leads to the over 20 billion expense. So it includes like a legal compensations and the halting of production, of which deeply affected the company's bottom line. And of course, they have been facing a huge opportunity loss in the presence of long-term revenue and reputation damaged. Of course, Boeing could have been gained crisis not occurred. And let's look onto the sides of legal side. So several major recuperations followed. 2021, Boeing settled U.S. Department Justice of agreeing paying 2.5 billion, and this includes like 243.6 billion criminal fines, 1.7 compensation to the airline customers, 500 million funds to support a family and crash victims, and in addition of 237 million derivative settlements was settled in 2021. So as of these issues are going on because legal issues are still continuing on this April or in this March 2025. So shareholders are still pursuing class action lawsuit claiming Boeing's executive hide the safety turns and all the issues. All the issues were majorly still is playing on. So now I'm calling my next partner to continue their presentation. Thank you.
This is Abdul Rafi. Let's have a talk about analysis side. The brand is not just tarnished until the shareholders, but is directly linked to the ability to fix the governance, and it's under the existence threats all the time. Should we go to the next slide? SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis. Yeah. SWOT analysis is basically computation of four attributes. It's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. If we talk about the Boeing, the strengths, it has a lot of like key points like established legacy, diversified portfolio, loyal customer base, in-house expertise over a century in aerospace innovation since 1916. This is basically the strength of the Boeing. While the strong presence in defense, space, and security sector is basically a diversified portfolio. Um, if you have loyal customer base, then it is like it's higher strength for the company if they have loyal customer base, and in-house expertise is historically robust engineering talent, as well as there are a lot of weaknesses like flawed design leading to catastrophic failures is safety oversight actually. And if we talk about more weaknesses, cultural challenges, one of the challenges that is facing by the company is basically prioritization of sorry, prioritization of cost over safety and transparency, and dependence on the 737 max for a significant revenue portion. And one of the more weaknesses is supply chain issues over outsourcing leading the quality control challenges. Can we move to the next slide, please? Opportunities, yeah. It has a lot of opportunities like rebranding, green technology, market expansion, and digital transformation. While every company has the opportunity to regrow with rebranding, it's like positioning as a global leader in aviation safety, investing in sustainable and eco-friendly aircraft is like green technology, and growing demand in defense and space sectors is market expansion, adoption of AI and tools to for operational efficiency is basically opportunity to find out more progress. While we talk about the threats, there are a lot of threats like intense competition, regulatory security, reputational damage, economical factors. Airbus gaining market share, especially post crisis, like you have threats from your substitutes. If they are gaining your misleads, then obviously they will get more customers than you. When we talk about the regulatory security needs, stricter certification process impacting timelines, ongoing public and media's capitalism is reputational damage, and we talk about like economical factors, global economical downturns affecting airline purchases. So I will call my next partner. He will let you know about further. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Ahmed Saeed, and this slide presents a pastel analysis of Boeing, especially focusing on the challenges and pressure the company faced following 737 MAX incident. First one was the political factor. Boeing encountered regulatory scrutiny from a global aviation authority like FAA and EASA after the 737 MAX crashes. Despite this, they remained strategically important to the US, securing 23.8 billion defenses contract 2023. The next factor was the economic factor. The crashes had a serious financial impact between 2019 and 2023. Boeing reported losses and exceeding the 62 billion, and S&P downgrading its credit rating to BBB, significant, signaling financial instability. The next one was the social factor. Public trust took a hit. A 2020 IPSOS poll revealed that 58% of Americans were unwilling to fly on a 737 MAX. To manage this, airline started rebranding the aircraft as 737-8 to help ease public concerns. The next one was the technological factor. Boeing faced criticism and over system flaws in the MCS software, which relied on a single sensor. It also lagged in adopting advanced training technologies like VR-based simulation and compared to the competitors. The next one was the environmental factor. There's growing sustainability pressure in aviation. Airline now prefer eco-friendly aircraft, and Airbus A320neo is seen a more sustainable option, especially to ESG focused carriers. Next one was the legal factor. Boeing faced 346 for wrongful death lawsuits after the crashes. Additionally, FAA clarification practices were securitized, pushing for tighter regulatory reforms. Let me go to my next slide. Uh, this slide highlights the internal root causes behind Boeing crisis, particularly focusing on governance and management failures. First one was corporate cultural issues. Boeing internal cultural shifting away from engineering excellence toward cost cutting and profit. The next one was the board governance failure. There was a lack of strong oversight from Boeing's the board of directors. The board failed to question critical safety decision and didn't hold leadership accountable for the risk associated with 737 MAX. Next one was the deadline over safety. A major root cause was the prioritization of delivery deadlines and market competition over passenger safety in the rush to compete the Airbus A320neo. The next one was the training neglect. Pilots were not adequately trained on the new MCS system. Boeing downplayed the need of simulated training and reduced cost and the time, which later became a major issue in both crises. Let me go to my next slide. Uh, This slide uses the situational crisis communication theory (SCCT) to analyze Boeing's key crisis stages, their responses and consequences. The first one was the post-Loin air crash in 2018. Boeing issued a wage bulletin without mentioning the MCAS system and blamed the crash on pilots. And according to SCCT, this was a preventable crisis. This recommended strategy would have been to accept responsibility to disclose the MCAS flaw because they don't. This eroded trust with pilots and regulators and was a missed opportunity for transparency. The next one was the Ethiopian airline crash in March 2019. Boeing delayed, grounded the fleet, and instead the aircraft was still safe. Again, this was a preventable crisis. They should have immediately grounded the planes and issued a public apology. Instead, it led to global grounding of the 737 MAX and increased regulatory security. The next one was the congressional hearing 2019. The CEO denied awareness of internal messages, avoiding full accountability. This right strategy here would have been full disclosure and clear commitment to reform. Instead, this further damaged the credibility and triggered calls from the leadership changes. The fourth one was the internal communication leak 2020. Leaked messages showed up employing mocking safety protocols. They highlighted deeper cultural problems. The company should have acknowledged the issue and committed to cultural overall. Leadership change 2019. New leadership promised transparency and safety reforms. This was a step in the right direction, slowly rebuild trust, but challenges in restoring full reputation still remains. Overall, Boeing faced a series of preventable crises, and the SCCT model shows how their delayed, wage, and defensive responses made the situation worse, damaging the public trust and internal morale. Now I'll transfer the slides to my next mate. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Adri. Today I will discuss about next slide, please. Next slide. Thank you. My name is Adri. Today I will discuss about applying Cafra's brand identity prism to Boeing. There are six components in these slides: physics, personality, culture, relationship, reflection, and self image. Physics, the crashes brought a Boeing design and safely protocol into the questions. And the personality, the companies delayed out opaque responses, painted it as profit centric. And the culture, internal reports indicate a shift towards financial goals and the expenses to of safely. Relationship, Boeing interactions with regulators and the public were strained, and the reflections, public perceptions, Boeing as a neglected passengers safely, and the self-image, employees' morale suffered during the crisis. And next slide, please. Uh, this one strategy fix number one, quality controls. And these are the 3 points in the slide: action points, technological integration, case studies, and the public disclosure of safely audits, implement mandatory quality checkpoints, and the mandate independent oversights, enhance employees training programs, and the technological integration, real-time monitoring with advanced sensors, adopt AI-based functions, predictive maintenance systems, and the case studies, Toyota's 2010 and recall and recovery, and the comprehensive supply chain overhaul, and the financial reliance through strategic performance profit $2.2 billion in 2023. And the next slide, please. Thank you. These are the strategic fix number two, engineering over cost cutting. There are several components like strategic area, initiatives, organizational cultures, training rebuild, internal communication, and the strategic vision. And the training rebuild FAA now mandates all 737 MAX pilots. Pilots receive full simulation training, correcting prior course savings decisions that exclusive in the slim 2024. And the internal communication, Boeing introduced stronger protections after FAA investigations revealed employees fears around reporting safely concerns. These include granted anti-relations policies, and the strategic vision. Boeing is repositioning itself as a manufacturer, but as a safely first engineering brands. The next slide, please. Thank you very much. And big idea fly safe with Boeing. There are different components, like objectives, campaign pillars, tones, tagline options, media channels. Objective: rebuild trust in Boeing brand post 737 Max crisis by correcting policies, the public transparency, and the campaign pillars like video, a digital dashboard, and interaction safety days. The tone emphasize and the scale backed. The tagline options: every flight checked, every life valued, fly safe, fly Boeing. And the media channels we will use different media channels use like social media and LinkedIn's, and streaming programs, airport activations like big screens and AI functions as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you very much. I would like to invite next member for further details.
Well, this slide I'm also explain about the outline Boeing integration market, a communication strategy design to support its brands, rebuilds and delivery, delivering the right message through the right channel to the right audience because he is already facing a lot of problem to doing this. Let's begin with the PR. Is Boeing is not usually executive visibility, including interview with the top leadership to the frames, and the company has accountabilities and the forward looking unlikely the competitions is likely Airbus which often downplay incident Boeing is on its history and openly communications the reforms and the notable examples is the CEO is 2023 is the interview with the Financial Times where the acknowledge the internal governance failures as well as about the what happened during the two flights the crisis and a lot of people died during to this flight failures as well as about the digital platforms Boeing the has a clear edge it is a safely and auditory dashboard and AI alert log services as a live transparency tools for instance the makes the 9 lives updated pages attached and hungry for the accountability and these digital asset is not just a content it's just the trust built infrastructures and on the internal communication side this is where the Boeing is tracking culture directly tools like speak up the Boeing and grunting engagements and the empowerment employer to report the safety issues without the fears unlikely it's the is the earliest culture of the silence and the Boeing is forest opening dialogue internally and critical prolonging long as well as investor briefly as not the just ESG benchmark is including safety is Boeing SDS scoring is 5.2.3 to the 5.9 overall as well as the last year is the particular integration the safety the few aerospace firms are the aggressive in the airlines internally and safety materials with the investor SEG for the event marketings as well as at the end of the conclusion the three main things I think we need I think the Boeing need to work on it is firstly the deeply systematical failures across these core and the safety cooperation governance and crisis communications and as well as is also the loss of the stakeholders was not only due to the aircraft it's the place which is the problem of the public trust that I think the mishandlings of the communications and the perceptions the profit was a priority the passenger life to recover the Boeing just the more the fix its yeah, and the branding form inside using the theory strategies and the transparency and as well as with the for finally recommendations according to us is according to this all presentation all the search with the teamwork I think we all present this recommendations is the firstly is work to the engineering governance because it's the main bone as well as the total transparency to tell about how to work to build different things inside regulatory in public as well as the safety first build Boeing must reputation itself the most safety committed OEM in aviation to the both business and flying public. And finally is the market strategies that aligns with healing, not just the promotions but the purpose. It means the acknowledging past failures and showing the constancy in the change, because in the end of the Boeing is not just a build jet, it's to rebuild the identity and relationship agency. As well as this references is available from the where is we all five members to search out the different things to build this presentation and tell about the people to about the clarity. Thank you so much.